welcome to the Pewtercast. This is our Buck in the News show for November 25th. This is week 13 of the NFL. It is week number 12 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. They are about to face the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, the first time they'll be facing them this year. I am Brent Allen, your host. With me, as always, is Ren Dax, my co-host. Ren, how are we doing on this, I don't know, what was this, Friday night, Saturday morning, something like that?
I'm doing fine. Just recently, the USF-UF or USF-UCF football game just ended about an hour, 2 hours ago, and it was all that it lived up to be.
Mm-hmm.
This might be, though, our shortest podcast of Buck in the News.
It's possible.
When this was in the dream state, we're like, we'll do like a half hour, 45 minutes, throw it out there, and then we start getting into the topics. Usually goes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. We're like, what happened?
Right.
But being Thanksgiving week, and it looked like most of the beat reporters took Thursday off, even though the Bucs practiced early morning Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
Not a lot of news coming out of one Buck that day. It was a pretty humdrum week.
Right.
Everybody sort of knows where the Bucs are right now. So, there was these breaking news stories coming out of one Buck this week. Yeah,
when we get to that part of headlines, I've got a list of them, and I have a feeling that it's going to go like, okay, here was a headline that stuck out to me. Okay, that's fun. Moving on. Right. I have a feeling that's a lot of what this conversation will consist of, and we'll get to it here in just a minute. But even the press conference, I think that was from today, consisted of Dirk Cutter and Jenna Lane, and that's it. So we'll get there here in just a minute. If you are new to the Buck in the News show, this is the third show that we put out every week, where in the first two shows, Ren and I have really just been talking about the team, about their last game, individual players, game review, and stuff like that. This is the show where we get a chance to talk about all the headlines, the injury reports, transaction reports, all that kind of stuff coming out of one Buck over the course of the week. And we do it here at the end of the week because now we get to kind of recap the entire week, as opposed to saying something on Tuesday and then all of a sudden by Thursday it's different. So we'll do that. We always start this off by talking about transactions, Ren, unless you want to go back and hit anything else first, like happened last week.
No,
okay.
we have covered the Dolphins game.
All right.
So has everybody else.
Well, I want to make sure there's not a lead that I'm burying here.
I see. Feelings hurt. Gotcha. Okay. Nope, not that I know of.
Yeah, not that I know of.
But there is a correction. That Jenna Lane presser was Thanksgiving.
Oh, that was Thanksgiving. Okay.
That was Thanksgiving.
So it was Jenna and Dirk.
Jenna and Dirk, yeah.
Okay.
Asking a lot of Thanksgiving questions, actually. And then today was pretty much Jenna and Greg Allman. Like, it was those two.
Gotcha.
That was about it.
There you go. Well,
both took place on the field, by the way.
Right. So I'm not sure which one I saw. There was a funny interaction that I'll talk about here. At least I thought it was funny. Nobody else probably will, because it's usually one of those things you tell it later and it's not nearly as funny. But before we get to all that, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the transaction report. A lot of practice squad stuff, nothing really on the active squad at all. Buccaneers released tackle Justin Murray, and I think the big release is cornerback Buc'In Ghoulston, whom we talked about last week, who he was was he a second-round draft pick?
Second-round pick from the Steelers and an All-American at Ole Miss.
Right, and he just had some injury issues and got out of the league a little bit, and they signed him back in. Thought there might be something there, but apparently not enough to keep him around. But with that wound up freeing up actually 3 open spots on the practice squad because they still had one left over from where they had released Bernard Reedy and promoted Freddie Martino from last week. So with that, they signed 3 new people to the practice squad. Ren, I don't know anything about these guys except for one whom I think he's been around for a little bit. But we signed Buccaneers.com has this person's position as WT.
It's a tackle.
I think he's just a tackle.
Wide tackle.
Yeah, wide tackle. Most
6'4",
tackles are wide.
310.
Yeah. But Givens Price is his name. We also signed a new wide receiver in Jake Lampman, and then re-signed a former practice squad guy, David Rivers. Ren, I don't really know anything about these guys. Do you got anything on them?
Not really.
Yeah.
It was, I think I mentioned it on Tuesday's podcast about the list of guys that the Bucs brought in to the practice, to try out. And it was like 5 linemen. So it was a little surprising that they only signed one of them, giving 3 open spots. But basically, they filled the wide receiver spot. I think they like to have so many depth pieces on the practice squad, and they tried to re-sign Bernard Reedy, but the Patriots got him. So I think the Lampman, Jake Lampman, signing was sort of more to fill a spot.
I'm sorry. Go back to they did actually try to re-sign Bernard Reedy, because I haven't heard about that. All I know is he wound up going to the Patriots.
Yeah, that was the plan. Like, I actually saw a tweet, and I think I retweeted it, and someone actually reported that he did sign back with the Buccaneers. And then a little bit later, it came out that no, he signed with the Patriots.
Okay.
So that from that, I guess I am assuming that the Bucs tried to re-sign him.
Sure.
Haven't heard anything official, but that's sort of the Bucs MO.
Right.
When they released Alan Cross, they signed him back. A lot of players, when they release, they sign back. And then it's a couple of small town school guys. I've never even heard of Ferris College. That's where the wide receiver Jake Lampman's from. And David Rivers, like you said, is a re-signing who's been on the practice squad before. Youngtown State, local kid from Miami. Those guys are rookies. And no, I'm sorry. Lamp's been in the league for a couple years, and the other 2. Rivers is a rookie, and Givens has been hanging around for a year. So I don't think anything is going to come of them. I just think it's more of just like they're guarding against future injury.
Sure.
If 2 linemen go down, well, at least they got a guy in the practice squad. Same thing with wide receiver and cornerback. So, yeah, that's
We also need scout team guys too. So, so yeah, it's nothing big on the transaction report. We'll get to the injury report here in a minute, but why don't we kind of I have a couple of headlines that, like I say, kind of stood out to me a little bit, but I don't think there's a lot of meat to them. We'll tick through these, and then Ren, if you've got any, certainly you by all means. But the first one I've got is and this kind of actually previews our injury report a little bit, but Will Ghoulston is back. Had a neck injury about 2 weeks ago. We still really don't know what the injury was, do we?
No, it wasn't heavily reported on. At first, at first everyone got really scared because the cart came up and they unscrewed, half his face mask and flipped it up, and he had to go to the hospital. But then by the end of the game, he's flying back with the team in the neck brace, and then a couple of days later, he doesn't have a neck brace on. So he's been improving step by step. I've heard, but I don't think I've actually read anything, but I've heard it was just like a stinger, but like a really scary one.
Right.
Apparently, I don't think he lost any feeling in his, legs and arms and that type of deal. It's just, when you feel something like that in the neck area, it's best, of course, to take every precaution.
Sure.
And he's been out a couple weeks. He's listed as questionable, but if you heard Dirk Cutter's press conference today, it seems very apparent that he will be playing because he did a Peter and Paul thing, with Robert Ayers.
Sure. And it's and under the new guidelines, I guess, that they use for the injury report, questionable is kind of the new probable. They took out the probable and just let questionable kind of fill in for that. So, we'll see Will Ghoulston back almost certainly. A couple other ones that I had. Turkey time with the O-line happened this week. I mean, what can we say about it? They served their 7,500 meal to needy families in the Tampa Bay area. So kudos to the O-line, and they've been going. I think this is like their 10th or 11th year or something like that. So, kudos to the O-line for keeping something going for that long.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't want to get.
It was True Blood and
True Font. No. They got drafted together.
Yeah, it was, but it was way back then.
Yeah,
it was like 2008. No, 2006. I think was the first one they had.
Yeah, I think they were Gruden's first draft class. And they started this thing, and Publix sponsors it, and they give out 200 meals. And then when they moved on, Demir Dotson picked it up, and it's been going strong with it. And so I'm sure once he moves on, I think it's going to be a tradition, especially if you got a big corporate sponsor like Publix. Like this is just gonna go on forever and ever and ever.
And I think this year they actually gave out 1,000 is a number that I heard. It's definitely not 1,000 every year, otherwise they'd have well over 10,000. But I heard 1,000 was the number this year. I don't. You just said 200, which I'm sure is probably what they started with for sure. But yeah. So Turkey Time with O-line. Kudos to the O-line. Really good on you guys. Speaking of charity stuff, Mike Evans launched his Mike Evans Family Foundation to help people in need. So yay for Mike Evans and his wife Ashley. I follow her on Twitter. She seemed really excited about this and what it was going to do. Kind of, I don't know how involved she will personally be. I
was going to ask you that. Does that seem like this is like her job?
It does.
Like her job as Mike Evans' wife is running Mike Evans Foundation.
The Family Foundation. Yeah, and I don't know how often that happens around the league, but like, I mean, and this is a leap in a comparison. I understand that, but like when you think of like the President of the United States, like the First Lady, like her job is kind of pick a couple charities and head them up and be in the thing. So, it would seem to me like this, it has that feel to me that it could be something like that. So, I don't know, but hopefully we'll find out more about it, as the weeks go on. And, that one, and then notably Jameis launched his earlier this year. I still don't 100% know what that one is all about, so hopefully we'll find out more about that.
His is bringing. They're all like underprivileged, but his is bringing like tech, like computers and tech to schools in underprivileged neighborhoods. Is what he's doing. He's basically bringing math and science, which is, of course, all the high-paying jobs it seems to be in the future are all trending that way. So I think that was a really smart one. One that's at least going to have the most impact. Besides like a giant tax write-off and get to be a good guy in the community. This handing people turkeys is nice, but they wake up the next day, they're still exactly where they were before. So I think I like Jameis. I thought that was well thought out. Yeah.
So that's that one. You actually broke this news, Ren, but it's worth repetition. Rondé Barber, John Lynch, and Simeon Rice are all semifinalists for the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I didn't break the news.
You broke it on the show.
I did. Yeah.
At least to us, you broke it. So, so those three guys are now. This is the semifinalists. So they still have one more round to go before they get in the room. Do you think all three of these guys will get marked down to the finalist list, or what do you think will happen as far as the next stage?
I looked. It's not really about what they've done. It's more about who else is on the list.
Yeah.
It's all about how many no-brainers are on the list, and there's not that many. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot. I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but like Randy Moss, it's probably a no-brainer. I think there was one other one that was maybe a no-brainer for me. So I think that since it's the first time Simeon Rice gets on the semifinal list, I don't think he makes the room. I would not be shocked if Rondé Barber doesn't make the room. I think he should. And I still think John Lynch makes the room. But quite honest, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't either.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with I'm hoping 2. And but I wouldn't be like up in arms and outraged if it was none.
Right.
Because I can follow the logic.
Yeah, I can see them limiting Lynch because he's kind of back in the league as GM over at the 49ers. I don't know that obviously it doesn't disqualify him. I can just kind of see them kind of pushing that one out a little bit. Though they certainly could go back to him. He's been a finalist before. A couple times, maybe?
Four times.
So, it would make sense that he would be back in as a finalist. Barber, I think Barber is a little bit of a long shot for this particular round of Hall of Fame. A little bit less of a long shot, but still a long shot to make it into the room. And all due respect to Simeon Rice, it just on the list of everything else, I just don't see him making this one. So I'm kind of right there with you on all of that. So so there's those guys. More Buccaneer Legends news. Derek Brooks is going to be captaining one of the Pro Bowl teams this year, so that's fun.
Yeah, who cares?
It's Thanksgiving week at $1.
Exactly. Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay, I've got.
That's nice.
Right, that's nice. One more piece of news, and this actually is like legit news. Consider the source, and by that I mean the ultimate source of where this all comes from. Per the Ira Kaufman podcast, I believe it was Lee DeKemper who had said that Anthony Beck said. So this is kind of like my cousin said that my aunt said that your mom said that Tony down the street said, kind of a thing.
You need to give me $20.
Right. But on the Ira Kaufman podcast, Lee DeKemper said that Anthony Beck had said that J.R. Sweezy had lost some flexibility, which is what is hampering his play.
I heard that too as well.
Yeah, we talked a lot about J.R. Sweezy and the O-line this last week between the Instant Cast and the main show. So, kind of a nice little addendum to some of that. Just interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've talked about when something's going bad, which usually is the team, but now this is just an individual player. You sort of just start grasping at things like he's not playing well. Why is it? Well, it could be this, it could be that. Culture, leadership. Whatever you can just sort of grab out of thin air. I'm not saying necessarily Anthony Beck is wrong, but where was this conversation? Through OTAs, through training camp, through weeks 1 through 8. And now all of a sudden, now it's like, oh, he doesn't have any flexibility. So I guess it's a reason. I can't say yes or no about it, but it just seems like right now, since the offensive line, as far as run protection has been poor, it just seems to be sort of J.R. Sweezy's couple of weeks to be in the doghouse. We started this season. Everyone thought, not that he was really in the doghouse, but everyone thought, Demir Dotson was our worst offensive lineman. Well, that's come, full circle, or not full circle, but 180 degrees, and now he's our best lineman. Right. As far as, grading him out weekly.
Okay, can I jump off of that? Because I am thinking about the league as a whole and individual players as a whole across the league. And something I'm really starting to notice more, and it's maybe because of the podcast, because I'm paying attention to this in different ways, but from year to year to year to year, it seems like there are a lot of the vast majority of players, and then you back that up to say the vast majority of units, position group units, back that up to the vast majority of offense defenses on different teams, to the vast majority of teams, to the vast majority of like take it in whatever scope you want to take it. But they literally can go from one year to the next and be the greatest thing in the world to then being complete trash, to being very mediocre, back to being complete trash, back to being the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. Over the course of, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And for right now, what immediately jumps to my head right now are the Cowboys.
Right.
Raiders. The Raiders are another one. Look at the Vikings. Look at the Broncos are on the downslope, sure. But then look at the Vikings this year. Look at the Panthers. Oh my God, the freaking Panthers. Makes me want to throw up. The Saints. Look at the Saints. Then you turn around and look at the Bucs. And you look at look at the Patriots. The Patriots, I don't follow them super closely, but they don't seem to be killing it. I mean, I think they're doing okay, but
they just keep winning.
But they're it's not like they're trouncing everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Seattle's I mean,
their defense isn't near what it used to be.
Right. And, I know I've said it a lot over the course of this year. The season is, football is weird this year, man. It's just weird.
I think football's weird every year.
It might be. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, really, that's one of my observations where, I think about 4 or 5 games into the NFL season and the college football season, you start seeing, man, it sure is a weird year this year. Every year is weird. It just is. It's just because, I mean, if everybody knew what was going to happen, then, Vegas wouldn't exist because they would lose every single bet that was placed. There has to be surprises, as in teams that are winning that you didn't think would, or teams that are losing that you thought would win. That's just, every year is weird to me.
And you know what I think got me thinking about this a little bit was, and I know we talk about him a lot, but Trevor Sikkema, his cover 3 over at pewterreport.com, this week it was about grading out Jason Licht's draft classes.
Right.
And, for as glowing as we often talk about the cover 3 specifically, like it's been a great addition to the Buccaneer community. This was the first one that I really kind of found myself on the other side of the table from Trevor, just going, I don't know that I'm coming to the same conclusion as he was about some of the conclusions he was drawing about the different draft classes. And I think a lot of it is because he's trying to grade out these draft. There's only been 4, so he doesn't have a long history that he's working with. And if what I'm saying is true, that these guys kind of go up and down, trying to grade these guys. Some of them are in their 4th year, some are 3rd, some are 2nd, and obviously some are in their 1st. Like, you just don't have enough of a track record to really give them a fair grade. You just have to go with what you're seeing right now.
Right.
And it becomes a real subjective call as opposed to something a little more objective. So, like I said, for the first time, I kind of found myself disagreeing with that in the conclusions he was drawing. So, I think that's kind of what got me into thinking about that in terms of the league as a whole, and getting out of the microcosm that is Buccaneer fandom. So,
yeah. And you mentioned the Cowboys. It seems that, and I admit I'm one of them. When Jameis is throwing for 4,000 yards and winning Pepsi Rookie of the Year, and only person to throw for 4,000 yards, and then he messes up. And all those people that you haven't heard a word from since, he was drafted, that just didn't felt like he should have been drafted there, or that, he got away with something in college, just don't like him. Now when this Uber thing came up, now they're all, they come roaring back. And it's sort of what's happening to Dak Prescott when everybody, during last year was like, hey, this guy has the best running back in the NFL and the best offensive line, and people are anointing him, a top 10 quarterback. He's a star. And it's like, he hasn't faced any adversity yet. And you saw his left tackle get dinged up, and they give up that, Clayton, who will be facing this Sunday, gets 6 sacks. Ezekiel Elliott goes out with suspension, and he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in 2 games, and 7 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. And
the amount of Cowboy fans that I know right now that are clamoring for Tony Romo to come back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They're like, I want Romo. We should have never gotten rid of Romo. Let's get Romo back. How do we get it's that same thing that we see in our fandom, which just makes me think that what we experience in our fandom of the Buccaneers, we're not unique in that regard. Like it's this. I see Eagles fans doing it when their team is up and down. I see, across the league, I see it happen. But yeah, it's people looking backwards and as opposed to looking forwards. Trying to bring somebody back from the days of yore. Although Tony Romo's days of yore were like yesterday. So.
They were like 3 years before he retired.
Yeah. So, but
anyway, talking about that. But to finish up, when we went off this tangent, I just think that right now it's J.R. Sweezy's sort of time to I've made jokes about, being in queue for the guillotine, get in line for the guillotine,
Yeah.
It's not fancy. What am I saying? It's in vogue to start jumping all over J.R. Sweezy. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but a couple weeks ago it was you couldn't say Donovan Smith's name without he's the worst. We need to draft a left tackle in the first round. Blah 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 blah. And now that J.R. Sweezy, has had 2, maybe 3 bad games, not his best for sure. Now it's all his back's hurt. He doesn't have the bend anymore. He's the worst. We have to bench him.
Yeah, I mean, it's people keying in on him, and it's that like when you're pissed off at maybe somebody you live with, anything they do or say is wrong, and they can't do anything right. You're just keyed in on them when you're pissed off at them for some reason. So
that's just a fact. That just really happens.
Yes, it does. So that's what I got on that. I don't know what to. If they stay with Sweezy and he comes out next year and he has that tenacity and ferociousness and turns into one of the best right guards, then all this goes away. So he just had to get it back. That's all. He's
not going anywhere. He may or may not get benched at some point this year, but he will be in Buccaneers camp next year. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So with that, I guess kind of transition to maybe some of the press conferences. The only thing I have from a press conference is Dirk Cutter talking to Jenna Lane. Might have been today's, might have been yesterday's. Not really sure. Thursdays, where she asked him a question like, "How are you feeling about the game?" And he goes, "I feel fantastic, Jenna. How do you feel?" Huh?
Yeah, Thursday.
Huh?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, Dirk.
He was ready to go home and have some turkey.
I feel fantastic. Let's go.
How do you feel the game? How do you feel about the game? Yeah, that was short and sweet. It was it was a press conference, but not really. It kind of turned into some Thanksgiving things.
Yeah.
It was when Dirk Cutter said that he likes dressing and stuffing. That got a little run on his. I think it was Wednesday press conference. Jenna Lane asked him right before he left, and she made it clear that this is not a serious question, but where do you fall, stuffing or dressing? And he's like, I like them both. And then I tweeted that out like it was breaking news, and a couple people playfully got mad at me. They're like, I thought Cutter was fired because they were reading breaking head coach, Tampa Bay head coach Dirk Cutter, and then they get down to the bottom of the tweet. They're like, you're a jerk. I'm like, sorry, I thought it was funny. And then
next week, Ren writes for the Onion.
Exactly. And then Greg Allman sort of jumped in and said, in Pennsylvania we had filling, which sounds a lot like stuffing or dressing to me.
Weird.
Stuffing,
I didn't see that. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying, it needs to be, it's out there. It needs to be in this conversation. So that was a little bit fun, but yeah.
Okay, Ren. Well, now that you brought it up, we've got to settle it. Which is it? Is it stuffing or is it dressing?
You know what? I'm going to pull something that Dirk Cutter did on his radio show today. I am the wrong person to ask. I don't have that information for you. Growing up,
because I do. Yeah, go ahead.
We never had stuffing. We called it stuffing because it was stovetop stuffing.
Right.
But we never put it in the turkey and then pulled it out and ate it.
Right.
I didn't even know that existed till probably my mid-20s.
Yeah.
I didn't know I thought it was the same thing that people call, they just have two different names for it, like polenta and grits, or if you're Vernon Davis, sweet potato yams.
Right.
So yeah, I can't answer that because I think I probably have had stuffing out of a turkey once.
Well, I mean, what you're talking about right there is it. And the only reason why, because I grew up like you, we always had the stovetop. We had something, it was always on the side, and we just called it stuffing. And sometimes you called it dressing. It just depended on who, whether it was Grandpa or Uncle Jim, who's asking the question. But when I got married, my wife's family actually had both. And they were very articulate about it. And to watch my mother-in-law make it, it was a big, huge bowl, and it was all the exact same stuff. and they just took some of it and stuffed it inside the bird, and they took other stuff and put it in a pan and baked it. And then they had a bowl of stuffing and they had a bowl of dressing. And the stuffing it's just what was in the bird and had all the juices from the bird in it. And the dressing is just the stuff that sat on the side. And, but other than that, it's the exact same thing. It's just a matter of where it was cooked. So, but there are some people like, no, dressing goes on salads and is ranch or whatever. Just people.
Idiots. No friends of mine.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to contact Ren about your ideas, you can reach him at rendax
if you're having a discussion about stuffing and dressing, and then you're going, no, dressing only goes on salad, that's a bunch of crap.
I know. I agree. I agree. That's why I put it out.
It's like you're playing pool. I scratch. No, scratching is only when you leave a mark on your skin with your fingernail. Like, what?
Here, it's called putting the white ball in the pocket. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Move it. Before we go on to interview reports, Ren, did you have anything from press conferences or any headlines you wanted to talk about? Maybe we haven't gotten to yet.
Well, to stick with the silliness and maybe a little bit of the absurdium that we've been doing, I guess the main thing you could take out of Mike Smith's press conference was he said that getting off the field on third down was the Achilles heel of the defense.
No.
I know, exactly.
Really?
Water's wet, the sun's hot, full story at 11. Thank you very much, sir. So it was just sort of that kind of week. And I think it could be a little bit of, me, working around the holidays, you working around the holidays. We had like a lot of other things going on. Obviously, all the press corps had things going on, the coaches, the players. So I think showing up every day to One Buc Place and ask the hard-hitting questions was not really on any of their to-do lists this week. It was all about having family in your house and making sure you had enough chairs and plates and didn't burn the turkey. I think that sort of was probably what was going on a lot more at One Buc than trying to find some. I
got to get 250 words out, but I got to get home. Go with this. Done.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was a fun week. There were some videos that came out on Instagram that were fun. And, hey, we didn't talk about the return of Allie and Donovan.
Hey, I haven't listened to that fully. I got about 10 minutes into it, and I've not gotten back to it yet. So don't spoil it for me.
Okay,
because I'm sure there's lots of spoil. No, I started listening the first 10 minutes, and I think I immediately tweeted out that these three just need to have their own show.
Yeah,
like I will sponsor it as a full-time podcast, and by full-time I just mean once a week. For these three to get together and have just let them talk.
Yeah, everyone missed it. It was, I think she, and by she I mean Casey, was probably asked, and I don't know for sure, but she did hint or actually say that she was constantly asked during the off season if those three were going to get back together for the Allie and Donovan show. You even asked Donovan Smith.
Yeah,
remember?
I did.
He stepped over into the crowd and he was sort of walking around all.
He's a big guy. I'm a big guy. He's a big guy. When I say somebody's a big guy, holy crap.
You don't, even when you're there, you don't really get it because they're standing around guys their size.
But when
they actually step into the crowd
and you stand next to them, you're like, holy crap.
And they're a good 18 inches taller than anybody.
Right. I mean, literally when the top of your head comes up to their shoulder.
Yeah.
And then I circle around and I'm 6'4", and I'm like, oh, this must be what it's like for everybody else with me. Jeez.
He was a big dude. Yeah, you asked him, you're like, flat out, what about the show? And he's like, we'll see,
It's the only thing I wanted to know. The only thing is the number one thing on my mind in the off season. So yeah, the return, the little encore Netflix special, Casey, Allie, and Donovan.
But Casey got two shows this year to do. She's got a Monday show and a Friday show, so I'm sure it was more of a scheduling thing, or maybe the Buccaneers just didn't want to do it with those two. But she's still out there.
I think it has a lot more to do with radio stuff, like stuff on because they were having the weekly, like every night, every day of the week show, and the logistics behind doing that, I'm sure, are a lot. But also, like the Bucs have. They don't have that show every single night anymore.
No.
Like they have the one on Friday. They have the one on Monday. They had to figure out how to rotate all that around. So,
Plus now they've switched up their, what is it? The pewter review or the pewter plan?
Pewter panel.
The pewter panel. Mm-hmm. Thank you. They do that on Mondays as well, and
mm-hmm.
They got to get in touch with the people that they're playing. They usually have. Basically the person who has Casey and Scott's job at the team they're playing, they bring them on. So they've picked up their social media presence, especially on the video,
mm-hmm.
Side of it. At least it seems to me. So they got a lot going on. It's not. I think it was more of the radio station didn't poo-poo it because no one liked it or got bad ratings. I think it was just there was other things they wanted to do instead.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, why don't we move on to injury reports and wrap this up for today?
Where are we at time-wise?
We are at 35 minutes. So, yep pretty short. Sure, and we've babbled. And we've babbled. All right, injury report. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. The only big name on there, obviously, if you haven't heard yet, Devontae Freeman, one of their star running backs, or maybe their star running back, is out for this game. He was did not participate on Wednesday and was limited Thursday and Friday. I guess they didn't feel like he was ready to go, and they pulled him out. They have a tackle, Ty Sembrello. I don't know if he's a starter or if he's one of their backup guys, but he is also going to be out for the game. And then everybody else is listed as a full go.
Yep.
On the thing, Julio Jones was on the list this week with a knee injury, who's limited all week. Alex Mack was out with a shoulder early on and then was full participation late in the week. Dontari Poe, kind of the exact same thing, except his was a hip. So those are kind of the big names for Atlanta.
Yeah, Freeman's he's a very good player, and you would think it was a huge loss if Atlanta didn't really run. Probably the only team in the league that truly runs a three-headed monster. At the tailback, Freeman, Coleman, and Ward, which I found out listening to Dirk Cutter's interview is actually T.J. Ward's brother.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't know that. He's like, yeah, T.J.'s brother. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't know his brother. To answer your question about the offensive tackle, Ty Sembrello, on the depth chart, he's listed behind Matthews, one of the Matthews boys. So,
yeah.
But it will be interesting, like you said, Alex Mack and who's their starting center, and they have a starting guard, Andy Levitre.
Yeah.
They were both, Mack was limited, like you said, was full, but Levitre is limited all week. So it'd be interesting to see if how those guys hold up, especially Levitre, because it's not uncommon for an offensive lineman to start and then 2-3 series in he sort of tweaks it and they got to replace it. And the only other news that's worth mentioning is their rookie linebacker, Duke Riley, who's been out for a while from knee surgery. He gets to go. I don't know if he's going to start. I don't know how much he's going to play. But as far as the Panthers website, that was sort of the big
Falcons
news.
Website.
What I said Panthers.
Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons website, this was sort of, the biggest news. Like, hey, everybody, Duke Riley's back. And on the depth chart, he's second string behind Devondre Campbell at one of the linebacker spots.
Gotcha. And is he a rookie this year?
Yes.
Now, okay, we'll just finish up because there's only one person we haven't talked about. And actually, I find this a little, is their punter, Matt Bosher, did not participate the first couple of days and was limited today with a groin injury. Now, if you're a punter and you've got a groin injury, obviously you don't carry multiple punters on your team, so at least not in general. So he's going to go, but it'll be interesting to see how he punts in this game.
Yeah.
If there's any issues with him. So, all right. Well, that does it for the Atlanta Falcons. Why don't we jump over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What do you say, Ren?
Let's do it.
All right. We already mentioned Will Ghoulston. He is back. He was limited on Wednesday, but was full participation Thursday and Friday. So he is listed as questionable. He will go. Somebody who is not going to go, as you mentioned earlier, and I know Dirk Cutter said in his press conference, it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul type of situation. We get Ghoulston back, but we're losing Ayers out to a concussion. Now, I was not aware of a concussion coming out of the Dolphins game. Do we know where or when he might have sustained this?
Once again, if it would have been a regular week, we probably would. Somebody would have asked the question. Mm-hmm. But no, and I'm with you. Like, I didn't see it. I didn't hear anything about it after the game. I didn't hear anything about it on Wednesday's press conference. Sort of, sort of behold, the whole week sort of turned into holiday fun. So if you watch Thursday's press conference, like you said, it was very light, and it was more, kind of like Jenna and Dirk joking back and forth. And it just wasn't asked or followed up like when he got it. But, he's in concussion protocol and he didn't clear. So.
Right. Also in concussion protocol is Evan Smith. And he will be out. So maybe we'll actually see a steady spot over at the left guard position this week.
Yeah, last week on the Instacast, I mentioned that Kevin Pamphil, I thought that they weren't rotating anymore because every time I looked up, Kevin Pamphil was in there. Apparently, Evan Smith got a concussion somewhere in the first half, and I guess I just missed him on the field. I wasn't looking for him, and then by the time I started to look, it was just always Pamphil, or Pamphie. By the way, shout out to Chef when he called it.
I picked up on that too.
He said Kevin Pamphie. I was like, good boy.
Kevon Pamphie.
So that's where I was confused. I know there was a discussion back and forth in the chat room about were they rotating or not. And then when the play breakdowns came out, you can sort of see, obviously, after somewhere like 15 plays for Evan Smith, he didn't come back in.
Right.
So once again, we don't know. I don't know where it happened, when it happened. Obviously, it looked like not like Ayers, where it looks like he played the whole game and now is in concussion protocol. Evan Smith was out pretty early, and so that is going to change probably our actives when we get there. But so he didn't clear pressure protocol. So those guys are both out with concussion.
So with that, as far as the only other two guys that are out, it's kind of the same names we've known about for a while. Jameis Winston is still out. He did not participate. They evaluated him on Monday and called him out like really early in the week.
Yeah.
Like they didn't wait on this one. Like they just told us he's out. It'll be Ryan Fitzpatrick this week.
Yeah, that was Monday's presser.
Yeah. So we knew about that pretty early. And then Vernon Hargreaves is still out with a hamstring, which no surprise. That's we've not really had a word as far as how serious the hamstring is. Right. We heard about it with Quan, and we heard about it with Doug Martin. I remember last year, we talked a lot. These soft tissue injuries, they really take their time because they can be sinister. But it looks like this Vernon's this is what, his second week out? I don't remember. Second week out. So, I think it's too early to call it a sinister one or, a really bad one, but, it might be a little more serious than what a lot of us first thought. So those will be the four guys who are out. We'll certainly talk about that when we get to the inactives report here in just a minute. But as far as the rest of the injury report, these guys are all full go. They were all full participation today. Most of them were about half of them were full participation yesterday. But we had Cameron Brate with an ankle injury, DeMar Dotson with a hamstring, Robert McClain with a hamstring, Josh Robinson with a hamstring, which I think he was in with a concussion that kept him out earlier this year.
Right.
J.R. Sweezy and Donovan Smith both on with knees. So that's going to put DeMar Dotson, Donovan Smith, and J.R. Sweezy all on the injury report.
Right.
Now they're all full go. They were all full participation today, but that is something to at least note in the back of your head.
And Evan Smith,
right? Who is obviously going to be out. Gerald McCoy is on the list with a shoulder and back injury. which again, if you listen to the Ira Kaufman podcast, I'll tell you, there seems to be something going on with his back that they're just not telling us or talking about. So, interesting to see that there as well.
Just put some icy hot on it.
There you go. Get some old Tiger Balm.
Tiger Balm.
There you go. So that's going to do it for the injury report, but that will lead us into the inactives. We are looking for 7 potential inactives, Ren. Now we know 4 of them: Jameis Vernon, Robert Ayers, and Evan Smith.
Right.
Who do you got else?
Yeah, this will be interesting. I think Holly comes off this week because the backup center is Evan Smith, and he's out. So you have to have a backup center.
Okay.
So that puts Holly on there. So does that knock Beninock or Wester? Because last week it was weird. Luke Stocker, which I thought was a healthy scratch. I've had a conversation where someone said he was hurt, and I'm like, I didn't see that. I didn't see anywhere where he was hurt. He was never on the injury report all week.
Right.
And then he shows up Sunday and doesn't play. So I'm not really sure that, that's true. So I'm going to go again with Stocker. I think I'm going to go with Beninock because both tackles are still nicked up a bit, and when they have to move Pamphil out, what they did last week where they brought Wester in, if one of those tackles goes down, they feel that they just think Wester's a better option than Beninock if at the tackle position. So that gives me...
Which is interesting because their first backup tackle is actually supposed to be Kevin Pamphil.
Right.
Like, he's supposed to be the... Yeah, like...
You would think they'd keep Beninock on and put him in at guard and put Pamphil out.
Right.
But the problem is, what happens if they both go out? This is going to be interesting. We should think this through. Because if they both went out, that's the reason they brought Wester on, right? Because if Pamphil moved over, they could just put Evan Smith in the guard spot. The other tackle goes down. They feel Wester's a better fill-in.
Right.
But now that Evan Smith is gone and a tackle goes down, so they move out out Pamphil, then they put in Beninock. Well, then if Doc goes down, then what do you do?
So maybe we actually have Beninock and Wester who are active and Hollies are. Because,
Well, then what happens if we get hurt at center? They need Holly.
Pamphil. These guys are all supposed to be cross training.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. So keep an eye on the offensive lineman who is out and in when the inactives report gets released on Sunday morning. What, about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, somewhere around there?
I'm going to go with all 3 of them are active.
You think? Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I'm going to take.
And you think Stocker is going to be out as opposed to Auclair?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's you
need one more.
I need 2 more.
No, you need one more. Oh yeah. No, you're right. You need 2 more. Yes.
I need 2 more.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's pick a defensive lineman.
Salinga?
Pick one. There you go. That sounds good. The guy that's always been there. And then, do you think they would do that to Martino? Think they would drop Martino? They can't not dress Griffin. Huh.
Won't be any of the backs.
No, it could be a back. It could be Peyton Barber.
It could be, but I doubt.
Or
I don't know.
Rogers.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be Jaquiz. He contributes too much on special teams.
Yeah, so does Peyton.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say they're not. It's not going to be one of the backs.
Interesting. Finally, we got a challenge.
A linebacker spot, maybe.
Oh, like Glanton, but those guys are heavy special teams.
Cornerback, maybe a second defensive lineman.
I'm gonna go with a defensive end. And
what about this? Stocker and Auclair.
And only run with 2 tight ends?
Yeah.
Because you only have that. I mean, It only run with Soccer and Eau Claire. Hang on, let me look at the defensive tackles. Or the defensive ends.
I mean, it could be Tapp or Clark. You know that wouldn't be.
Yeah, Tapp. Let's go with Tapp.
You think Tapp?
I think Tapp. I'm going with Tapp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, I'm obviously the 4, Jameis Vernon, Robert Ayers, and Evan Smith. I am actually going to say that Holly is inactive this week because I do think that they'll have Wester and Beninock both on the active roster. And if something happens to Allie, I think one of the other guys will jump in.
Ooh.
I'm going to say Kevin, and then Beninock jumps in where Kevin is.
Okay.
I think that's an if. I think but I think they have more flexibility with those two guys as opposed to Holly, where he's pretty locked in at that center spot. And I think that's what gives them the added benefit. And I do think that it's going to be. That
would leave Jameis making all the line calls.
You mean Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, he's a veteran. Let him do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I think I saw somewhere earlier this week, and I might be wrong, I might have misinterpreted, that Stalker was actually going to be back. So I'm going to put Eau Claire down as the inactive between those two guys, and then I'm going to go with Salinka. So that's going to be my 7. Is Holly, Eau Claire, Salinka, and then the 4 who are out on the injury report. So,
and I could really see the Luke Stalker thing. I just don't buy that he was injured last week. Like, I didn't hear anything about it. He was never on the injury report. I thought he was a healthy scratch. So I'm just going to keep him as a healthy scratch. Not that Eau Claire had a bang-up job blocking at tight end. But, yeah, I'm just keeping it that way. Sorry.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Ren, that is going to wrap us up for our Buck in the News show. Not even at an hour. Little sub an hour, but we threw in some extra conversation there for the fine folks out there listening to us. Hey, listen, if you guys want to get in touch with us about anything that we have talked about today,
dressing or stuffing,
there you go. We'd love to know. You can find us on Twitter at the Pittercast or the Pewtercast, however you want to do that. Facebook.com/the Pewtercast, or shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Please keep in mind that we do have 3 shows a week. The first one starts Sunday night after the game, 9 o'clock. You can join us at mixler.com/the Pewtercast. Join the chat room. Lots of fun stuff happening there. You can also call in, give us your thoughts on the game. We'll be talking about our thoughts on the game as we go live. You can join us there. And then later on in the week, we'll have our final thoughts episode that'll come out, where we'll review the game. We'll have a little bit of chance to think about it. We'll take your emails about the game as well. And then we'll be back next Saturday with a brand new Buck in the News. Ren, why don't you tell the fine folks out there where they can get a hold of you on the internet?
Best way to get a hold of me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. Always down to talk Buccaneers football.
Sing it.
Sing it? That's right. What did I do? I did sing last week, didn't I?
Yeah, and then you said you'd never do it. Do it again.
I'm a man of my word.
All right.
I'm a man of my word.
There you go. New song from Ren every week. You guys can find me personally at Brent Allen Live, or I'm also on Facebook.com/Brent Allen Live. Would love to chit chat with you there. Or like we said, you can always get a hold of us at the show. Contact information as well. Well, with that said, we've got the Falcons coming up 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Beg and plead with the Buccaneers to prove a lot of us wrong. But, I can't wait. The closer we get, the more excited I'm getting. I don't
think this is going to be as bad as people think.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as I think it was going to be earlier in this week. I really don't. I'm getting more amped for it, and I'm my confidence level is rising as the week goes on, as we say. So with that said, as we head off into the sunset here for this game, let's close it out like we always do, Ren. Go Bucs.